You're watching Football Daily, and today we've curated a team of players who have suffered near-death experiences. Hold on tight. Goalkeeper, Petr Cech. Petr Cech has 427 Premier League appearances, 199 clean sheets, has 4 Prem titles and a Champions League winners' medal, but he almost paid the ultimate price for his career in October 2006. Chelsea were on their way to winning a second Premier League title when a match against Reading at the Majeski Stadium put not only Cech's career on the line, but also his life. Royals forward Stephen Hunt collided with the keeper, crunching his right knee into Cech's head with such a force that doctors said Cech's injuries were consistent with a car crash. Although at first the goalie seemed okay, being able to crawl off the pitch for treatment, after several minutes he became incoherent and slipped into an unconscious state before the arrival of the ambulance. Doctors had to remove 2 loose pieces of his skull away from his brain and replace them with metal plates. They said that if he had been struck any harder, he might have even died. Amazingly, Big Pete only spent 3 months out of action, and while he may not be able to remember the incident, over 10 years later he is still reminded when he puts on his cap every time he plays. Defender Eric Abidal. Coming in at right back is the France and Barcelona legend Eric Abidal. He may be more naturally suited to the left, but he's good enough to do a job anywhere in the back line. The 4 times La Liga champion began his career in Lyon before moving to Barcelona in 2007 for €9 million, eventually becoming a part of Guardiola's famous Barca side of 2009. But in March 2011, Abidal was diagnosed with a tumour in his liver and underwent surgery 2 days later. However, he showed strength in his recovery, and just 2 months later he played the full 90 minutes to help Barcelona win the Champions League final against Man United at Wembley. Sadly, a year later, Abidal's illness returned and he was forced to have a liver transplant, which would cause him to miss over a year's worth of game time. Stubborn and hard-working, Abidal was back in April 2013 to play his final games for the Blaugrana, winning another La Liga title in the process. It was later revealed that teammate Dani Alves offered to be his donor, but the Frenchman denied it, as it would have shortened Alves' career. Defender Shane Duffy. Now 26 years old, centre-half Shane Duffy is now playing for Brighton in the Premier League, a fate that seemed unlikely at 18 when he suffered a horrific accident while training with the Republic of Ireland. Duffy collided with goalkeeper Adrian Walsh during a training session and sliced open his liver in what doctors called a freak accident. The young centre-back was rushed to hospital for emergency surgery. He'd lost 6 pints of blood, around 3.5 litres, and Duffy's parents were told that it was unlikely he would survive the surgery. Against the odds, the Irishman returned home 6 days after the life-saving procedure and was actually fit enough to return to football just 10 weeks after the accident. He has since made 50 appearances for Brighton and earned almost 20 caps at senior level for the Republic of Ireland, having made a full recovery from an injury so extreme that doctors said it had only been previously seen in serious traffic incident victims. Defender John Terry. John Terry has had an illustrious career as England and Chelsea captain, earning 5 Premier League Champions medals. However, it is Arsenal physio Gary Lewin he has to thank for his career longevity. The Blues defender was knocked unconscious during the dramatic Carling Cup final against Arsenal in 2007 after accidentally being kicked in the face by Abidal. Terry was knocked out and swallowed his tongue before the actions of Lewin opened his airways and saved his life. According to the country's leading neurosurgeon, Terry came within 4 minutes of death after his fearless header, and Lewin's quick and cool thinking had been crucial. Terry was taken to hospital for a series of scans following treatment on the pitch, but he quickly returned to the Millennium Stadium to join his teammates in the Cup celebration and even went on a big night out in London the very same day. What a lad. Defender Alan Rochelle. On November 28, 2016, Brazilian top-flight side Chapecoense were involved in one of the most tragic plane crashes in modern history. The modest club had been founded in 1973 and had climbed from the 4th division to the top flight in just 5 years. Ready to make history, Chapecoense faced their biggest game yet as they faced Colombian Titans Atlético Nacional in the Copa Sudamericana final. The very same plane that had safely carried Messi and the Argentina squad just 18 days earlier crashed due to a fuel leakage problem, killing 71 of the 77 passengers on board, consisting of the entire team, staff and journalists. Out of the 6 survivors, Neto, Jackson Follman and Alan Rochelle came from the Chapecoense team. Rochelle was the first survivor to be taken to hospital and received surgery to fix the back injury he sustained in the crash. Miraculously, just a few days later, Rochelle was walking again and played his first match following the horrific accident in the 2017 Joan Gamper Trophy in honour of the 71 victims and their families, where the 3 survivors received a standing ovation. Midfielder Mehmet Topal. In 2015, Fenerbahce defensive midfielder Mehmet Topal told Sky News that he and his teammates had cheated death by the skin of their teeth. A coach carrying the side on a motorway in northern Turkey was hit by gunfire following their 5-1 victory over Çaykur Rizespor in the city of Rize. After originally thinking the bus had been hit by stones, the police confirmed that the bus was fired at by a hunting rifle, although the assailant and motive wasn't clear. Fenerbahce's vice president Mehmet Tuzlu, who was on the team bus at the time, accused the attacker of trying to crash the bus and kill the players. None of the players were injured during the attack, but the driver was taken to hospital with facial injuries. Mehmet Topal, who made over 150 appearances for the Turkish Titans, said that he had only God to thank for the team avoiding death. Midfielder Fabrice Muamba. Fabrice Muamba moved to London with his family as a child, where he settled in Walthamstow. He then began his footballing career at the Arsenal Academy before moving to Birmingham City in 2006, where he quickly won over the fans, being voted Young Player of the Year as the club fell down to the Championship. In 2008, Muamba joined Bolton Wanderers, then a Premier League club, for £5 million, and it was while playing for them on an FA Cup run in 2012 that he came close to death. During the clash with Spurs at White Hart Lane, the midfielder suffered a cardiac arrest on the pitch. The player received treatment almost instantly from 5 Spurs on-site doctors, the St John's Ambulance Service, and a consultant cardiologist who had coincidentally been in the crowd that day. This was actually a direct response from the Cech incident just years earlier, when there was nowhere near enough medical support present. Muamba's heart stopped beating for 78 minutes and he was given 15 defibrillated shots to stay alive. The game was abandoned, with manager and captain accompanying him to the hospital. Amazingly, and hugely down to the brilliant help on the day, Muamba made a full recovery. Midfielder Gran Arango. This versatile midfielder, who notched up just over 150 appearances for Borussia Mönchengladbach, was forced to overcome a horrific injury to forge his career in Europe. La Liga isn't known as the most physically demanding league in the game, but in 2004, just a year into his stint at Mallorca, Arango's life was endangered on the pitch when he was elbowed in the face by Sevilla's Javi Navarro. The brutal collision left him out cold with severe facial cuts and a broken cheekbone. The Venezuelan midfielder swallowed his own tongue, and it was only the quick thinking of his teammates and opponents that saved his life. Amazingly, Arango defied doctors and had returned to Mallorca's starting 11 within a month of the near-death experience. And the following season, he proved his strength again by becoming the Balearic club's top scorer with 11 goals. Forward Kaka. It may seem difficult to imagine a world where the Ballon d'Or is an open competition and not a duopoly between Messi and Ronaldo. But in 2007, this guy reigned supreme as the best player in the world. After joining AC Milan at 21 years old, he scored 10 and helped Ancelotti's side earn the 2003-04 title in his maiden season, a sign of what was to come. During his stint in Italy, Kaka became the creative nucleus of the Rossoneri as he displaced Rui Costa and built brilliant on-pitch understandings with Andriy Shevchenko and Pippo Inzaghi. Despite forging his name in the San Siro's history books over his 6-year stint, the first league win was his only one. He did notch up a huge amount of individual accolades and took Milan to Champions League success in 2007, as well as being part of possibly the best team ever not to win anything on the international stage. Unlike a lot of players from South America who escaped poverty to become footballing royalty, Kaka was actually from an affluent background. However, at 18, a terrifying swimming pool accident that fractured his spine nearly ended his career before it had even started. The freak accident nearly paralysed the playmaker, and Kaka thanked God for his health and has donated to his local church in Brazil ever since. Forward Fernando Torres. Fernando Torres leads the line up front due to his near-death experience on the pitch for Atletico against Deportivo. The Spanish striker suffered a terrifying head injury after colliding with Deportivo defender Alex Bergantinos. Torres was hurled into the ground face first as Bergantinos smashed into his back and was knocked out cold. The players surrounding him immediately knew there was a serious problem and called to the benches for medical attention. After being stretchered off the pitch, the Rojiblancos were forced to finish the match with 10 men. Although Torres has no memory of the incident and reportedly lost knowledge of his own name straight afterwards, thankfully he managed to avoid a terrible, dangerous injury. Forward Torres Ribery. Coined by teammate Zinedine Zidane as the jewel of French football, Ribery started his 18-year-long career in Boulogne. But before becoming a 7-times league champion with Bavarian giants Bayern Munich, Ribery had a very troubled start to his life. In 1985, at just 2 years old, Ribery and his family were in a car crash in his hometown of Calais as their car collided with a lorry. Ribery survived the accident but came away with severe facial injuries, needing over 100 stitches along his eyebrows and down the right side of his face. Ribery has spoken out about the accident and said it helped motivate him as a child and made him stronger. The tragedy that Ribery avoided so narrowly has played a part in making him the player he is today, with 256 appearances for Bayern, still controlling the midfield at the ripe old age of 34, 32 years on from his near-death experience.
So thanks once again for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to click on screen right now, check out one of our other cracking videos, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.